Spence and Crawford are fighting. Who wins?
Who's the king of the welterweights?
I think after seeing their fight, Porter and Crawford, I think you've got to lean towards Crawford now.
Sugar Ray with Spence and Crawford.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Everybody know who won that fight. His name was Errol Spence.
Okay.
Errol Spence, he'll be looking young and not up more than 6 rounds.
Crawford's a bad boy, but Spence, Spence is a pressure cooker, so if he can maintain with Crawford early, then he can make a good fight. But if he ain't on his game, they might be right.
Crawford reminds me of me, bro. So I'm pretty sure you know how I feel about that. Ain't nobody else gonna say that, but I'ma say it. The way he approached that shit, he don't see none of them guys. He don't care nothing about none of them guys.
Got him!
So what do I do, YouTube? It's your boy King David in this thing, and I'm back at y'all again with another video. Okay, so before we get going on the video, man, y'all know what to do. Go ahead, hit the like button, and if you're new here, be sure to subscribe one time for your boy, so we can continue to grow like we need to grow on this channel. You know what I mean? So yes, sir, man. Y'all see what the title of the video is, man. Collecting all my belts on my side of the street. Lies. Straight lies, y'all. Do y'all remember when Errol Spence said this?
Like I said, I'm gonna get these belts over here, then I'm gonna come take Terence Crawford belt because I said I'm gonna be undisputed welterweight champion of the world. So the only way to make that happen is to take his belt. So I mean, nobody's avoiding him.
So y'all heard Errol Spence. Complete and utter foolishness, y'all. Straight foolishness coming out of Errol Spence's mouth, right? Not only did he say that ridiculous ass shit, but that has become the anthem for Errol Spence fans all across the board. This is the shit that they say over and over and over again like a broken goddamn record. I'm gonna collect all my belts on my side of the street, right? And then I'm gonna cross the street and I'm gonna go on and take his shit, right? But the one thing that's never addressed, the first question that comes to my mind, and the one thing that's never addressed when this collect all my belt shit is brought up, is why does Errol need to collect all his belts on his side of the street in the first place, right? I mean, Tom Brown told us.
It's the fighters. It's always the fighters. When they ask for something and it's a fight that can be made, we're going to go do it. We've worked with Top Rank, many times in the past, and it seems like the relationship's just been getting better and better.
And we even got Deontay Wilder saying,
Al don't hold back his fighters on things. He may give his suggestion on this and that or whatever, but pretty much who we want, we going to get.
So with that said, why did Errol Spence need to collect all his belts on his side of the street? And then he gonna cross the side of the street and then he gonna take Bud shit. Why did he need to even do that in the first place? Complete and utter foolishness once again. And unfortunately, this has become the Errol Spence fanboy anthem, right? This is the shit that they regurgitate over and over and over again. And it's complete nonsense because this man didn't need to wait 5 years in order to fight a Terence Bud Crawford, in order for the fight to be big, in order for him to make money, in order for it to be a lucrative fight, in order for it to be a meaningful fight. Nevertheless, I digress though, because for the true boxing fans out there, we already know that that's nonsense, right? But the bigger picture here is that it's actually a lie, and that's what we're actually here to talk about today, right? So if you follow the channel, you already know that Errol Spence is a liar. Why? Because one, he didn't spin the block like he said he would do. But two, he's fighting a guy that he said he would never fight, right? So we already know that Errol Spence is a liar, right? But the thing about it is, with this new situation with Keith Thurman, the rabbit hole goes so much deeper now, because now we can look at the full landscape of things and really call out Errol Spence for all the lies and all the capping that this man has been doing over the years, right? One of the lies being this collect all my belts on my side of the street nonsense, right? So, as we mentioned earlier, just saying that in the first place is pure foolishness and cowardly, to say the least, right? But in addition to that, it's also a bold-faced lie. And here's how we know it's a bold-faced lie. The first reason that we know that it's a lie is that if Errol Spence's goal was to collect all his belts on his side of the street, then I would think that he would only collect and he would only fight the belt holders, right? On the PBC side, right? If I'm trying to collect all my belts on my side of the street so that way I can get into the biggest fight in boxing, I'm only going to set my sights on the belt holders, which are Sean and Ugas. So with that being said, why in the fuck do I need to get in the ring with Danny and Mikey, two guys that didn't have a belt at all at that particular point in time? So for that reason alone, we know that it's a goddamn lie, because there was no reason for those fights to happen. They were completely and utterly meaningless, right? But I know what you fanboys want to say. I know what you want to say. You want to say, but KD, it made business sense. It made business sense for him to fight Danny and for him to fight Mikey. It made business sense, KD. I know what y'all want to say, right? But the fact of the matter is, the fight that makes the most business sense is the Terence Bud Crawford fight, right? Those fights made some business sense, but the Bud fight makes the most business sense, because none of those fights had the potential to generate anywhere near the amount of revenue as a Terence Bud Crawford fight would have generated. To try to refute that would be foolish. But I'm ready for y'all. I know the next thing y'all gonna come with is, but KD, Danny Garcia was a mandatory, KD. And the only reason he fought Danny Garcia was because he was coming off of the car accident, KD. I already know it was a tune-up. Well, first of all, I thought Errol Spence didn't take tune-ups, right? And then second of all, unifications trump mandatories, right? And in regards to the whole car accident situation, and that being the reason that he fought Danny Garcia, he had actually planned to fight Danny Garcia before the car accident, right? And those are just the facts. Do your research before you come on my shit, right? But I know the next excuse. The next excuse is y'all gonna come with, but KD, Bud said that he didn't even want to fight Errol Spence after coming off of the car accident. Right? That's what y'all gonna say, right? That's what y'all gonna say, right? But when did Errol start doing what Bud wanted him to do? When did he start taking Bud advice? Right? Because if it was up to Bud, the fight would have happened 3 years prior to that. Right? And then, if it was just about the car accident, right, and Bud not wanting to fight him after Danny, then why did he fight Ugas after Danny instead of Bud Crawford? But we know you niggas are going to continue to duck, dodge, and maneuver your way out of these kinds of questions. We already know what the deal is, you know what I mean? Nevertheless, I digress, because that's not the only lie that's been exposed recently. Errol Spence Jr.'s decision to move up to 154 pounds and fight Keith Thurman, right, just uncovered yet another inconsistency when it comes to Errol Spence Jr., right? And that is the fact that we know the chances of Errol Spence moving back down to 147 pounds are slim to none. We know that. So with that being said, if Errol Spence is going to go ahead and move up to 154 at the drop of a hat, if he's going to go ahead and move up all willy-nilly like that, right? Then what in the hell was the point of him collecting all his belts on his side of the street in the first goddamn place? Huh? Somebody make it make sense. Can you imagine chasing a goal for 5 years, and then as soon as you get to the finish line, as soon as you get to the pay dirt, as soon as you get to the prize, you throw your hands up in the air and you leave the division? Does that even make sense to you? Does that even make sense that you would get so close to your goal but give up as easily as Errol Spence is just giving up? Does that even make sense to y'all? Right? Especially when the prize earns you the most amount of money you've ever gotten paid for one fight. Especially when the prize is the undisputed championship of the world.
Like I said, I'm going to get these belts over here, then I'm going to come take Terence Crawford belt because I said I'm going to be undisputed welterweight champion of the world. So the only way to make that happen is to take his belt. So, I mean, nobody's avoiding him.
Especially when that prize is the notoriety and the recognition of beating the pound for pound #1 fighter in the sport of boxing. For you to get right there and then give up at the drop of a hat, does that really make sense to you? Does that really make sense to y'all? I'm just trying to figure this out, y'all. Right? But I know what you fanboys are going to say. You fanboys are going to say, Earl's having some problems with his weight. He's been at this weight so long. He's been at the weight so long, KD. He needs to move up to 154 pounds because he's been at the weight so long. Right? That's what you niggas are going to say, right? But my question to you is, if you're Errol Spence and you're having all these weight problems, why in the hell would you spend time collecting all these belts on your side of the street and engaging in all these meaningless fights? Case in point, Danny and Mikey. Why would I waste time with those fights, right, that were insignificant in comparison to the Terence Bud Crawford fight if I know I'm having weight issues? If I know I'm having weight issues, I'm shooting for the biggest and best fight at that weight class, and then I'm moving up to the next weight division. Right? Ain't that how it's supposed to go? Ain't that what Shakur just did? Shakur went for the Valdez fight and then moved up to 135 pounds because he couldn't handle the weight cut no more, right? So if I'm Errol Spence Jr., does it make sense for me to stay at a weight class for 5 years knowing that I'm having weight problems, only to get to the point where I'm finally able to make the biggest fight in the sport of boxing, the fight that's able to pay me the most amount of money, the fight that's going to allow me to gain the most amount of recognition by beating the pound for pound #1 guy in the sport of boxing? Does it make sense for me to leave the division right where I'm at my goal, right when I'm at my goal, right? But that would only be if it was my goal, right? I say that would only be if it was my goal, because if it was my goal, then I would have fought a Bud Crawford a long time ago. I would have fought a Bud Crawford a long time ago, right? I wouldn't be entertaining anything else but a Terence Bud Crawford fight if it was my goal. But we see what's happening here with Errol Spence Jr. The fact that he's getting in the ring with a guy he said he would never fight at a weight class that he shouldn't be at until accomplishing his quote unquote goal of undisputed. Right? But as usual, when it comes to Errol Spence Jr., the math ain't mathing, right? I say the math ain't mathing, right? The fact of the matter is, Errol Spence Jr. don't want no smoke when it comes to a Terence Bud Crawford. And there's just too much evidence. There's just too much hard evidence to support the fact that this dude is a coward, a duck, and a liar. But I'm going to go ahead and wrap the video up right here, man. Let me know what your thoughts is, bro. Hit it up in the comment section below. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. And everybody, and I do mean everybody, be sure to hit that goddamn like button on your way out, bro. But until next time, man, I'ma holler at y'all. Peace.
See what I did, compared to what he did. So that's what happened. As soon as the stoppage happened, that's what happened there.